Hey fellow Trek Chatters, I'm Pit Trekkie and welcome to another episode of Pittsburgh's Trek Chat. Well, for today's episode, I'm going to be reviewing the 7th episode of Star Trek Picard, entitled Nepenthe. So basically the episode starts out pretty much Hugh is on board the Borg cube. They're trying to get information from Hugh about where Picard and Shoji had gone after they had gone through the spatial trajector. At the same time, the La Sirena is being held captive. I believe it's Marissa who agrees to let the ship go because Eric is following behind them in a shuttle. But before that happened, there was a recap of 3 weeks earlier where Dr. Girardi met with Commodore O earlier. I believe it was in the 2nd episode of the series. And said that they needed to talk about her meetings with Admiral Picard. So we got a little bit more information. So Commodore O mind melds with her and feeds her these images of the potential danger that could happen to the galaxy if synthetic life is allowed to exist. And basically it kind of comes off as a brainwash kind of thing because Dr. Girardi says, okay, what do you need me to do? And we know she's already killed Dr. Maddox at this point. So we also find out she eats some sort of tracking device, which is part of the reason why they let the La Sirena go, because she swallowed that patch and it's a tracker, and so Eric follows the ship. So he's going to follow them to Nepenthe. So Picard and Shoji are on Nepenthe. He went there because he knew that Riker and Troy were there and would be able to help. They're greeted on Nepenthe by their daughter, Kestra, who seems drawn to Shoji very quickly and seems fascinated when she finds out who Admiral Picard is. So Riker and Troy are obviously very happy to see their friend. Riker puts the shields up around the house and puts like an anti-cloaking beam on just to scan for any Romulans that might be coming. So like I said, Kestra attaches to Shoji almost like a sister very quickly. She even makes the comment, "You're younger than I am, you're 3 years old, I can be the boss of you," which is obviously a joke. But she obviously can tell that Shoji needs some sort of companionship or somebody to support her. We also learn a little bit about Riker and Troy's son, Thaddeus, that he had died a number of years earlier. Riker and Troy still have his bedroom set up. You could tell there's a lot of emotion there with Counselor Troy and with Riker about the death. And we learn a little bit later on in the episode that the reason why he died was because of a virus that he had gotten, which was silicon-based, and the only way it could have been healed is with a positronic matrix. But of course, after the synth ban, they weren't allowed to develop that technology. Starfleet banned it, and as a result, he died because of Starfleet's decision. The other issue in the episode, we have Hugh on board the Borg cube. He's obviously been captured from the previous episode. Marissa's trying to figure out what happened to Picard and Shoji. Hugh doesn't tell her what she wants to hear, so she kills XBs in front of her. Or in front of him, I'm sorry. And she said the only reason she didn't kill Hugh was because of the Federation treaty with the cube. But however, later on, Elnor and Hugh reunite. Elnor wants to keep Hugh protected. They finally get caught by Marissa and several of the Zot, I guess would be Zot Vosh officers. Eldor kills those Romulans, but unfortunately Narissa throws like a dart or something at Hugh's throat, killing him. Elnor ends up trying to hide from the Romulans, and he finds a Fenris Ranger beacon, and he signals for their help. And the episode pretty much ends with Dr. Girardi's acting very, very erratic. So Raffi uses her mothering skills to try to kind of figure out what's going on with her, why she's kind of acting different than the way she did when they first got on board the ship. So she feeds her cake and chocolate milk and all that. Dr. Girardi ends up, when there's an emergency where the Eric shuttle keeps popping up, they keep trying to evade it. She shoots herself up with some sort of hypospray, some sort of injection that causes her to foam at the mouth, and she goes into a coma. And so that's pretty much where that episode ends. I'll be honest with you, I thought this was a wonderful episode. Obviously because of the Next Generation characters coming in and reuniting with Picard, Riker, and Troy. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. I choked up a few times when I first saw Troy hugging Picard and then Riker hugging Picard. Just seeing them back together again was just good feelings. It was a wonderful episode, a lot of nostalgia that came through it. There was a lot of stuff I actually really did like about the episode. Obviously, seeing the Rikers again was a plus. I really enjoyed their daughter, Kestra. Very well-developed character. I loved how she was able to... She continued to talk about these languages that her brother had made up before he died. Troy kind of gave some background on that, about how he was born on starships and he wished that he had had a home world. So when they came to Nepenthe, because of the healing properties, they were hoping it would help to cure his disease. He felt that that was his home world. But she still talks about the languages that he had created, which were really cool. Apparently he was some sort of little genius before he died. I think the actress that played Kestra did a brilliant job. Absolutely. I mean, you could tell how much she really cared about Shoji and how she was fascinated about her being an android, not being, being an android that has mucus and tears and, biomechanical functions, when she knew all about data because Riker and Troy had told her about that. And I think that was actually what Shoji needed in the episode. If you think about it, her whole world had just been rocked. Everything has just been ripped apart from her. Her mother was a lie. Her father was a lie. Her whole history, her whole life was a lie, except for Daj being her real sister. That was the only thing that was really real. And that kind of comes up in the episode too. She doesn't really know what's reality and what isn't. So that's a theme that continues on through the episode. But really this was something that Shoji needed, because she finally had one person who was real that she felt like she could trust and bond with. I mean, even for most of the episode, she didn't even bond with Picard. And she said that to Kestra that she would consider bonding with Picard and trusting him. But she's not letting that go very lightly. I mean, she just met Picard, but that was a nice little touch. She had her first taste of true friendship, because everybody else used and abused her. I like that that Riker and Troy didn't ignore the fact that their son had died. I mean, I'm a therapist. I've worked with a lot of parents who don't want to talk about that when they lose a child. I'm not a parent, but I can only imagine how rough that is on a parent to lose your flesh and blood, or even if it's an adopted child, just to lose your child in general. That's got to be the worst pain that ever could happen to somebody. And I'm glad that the writers didn't shy that away from the Rikers. I'm glad that they actually felt it, they showed it. Marina Sirtis did a beautiful job, especially when she was in Thaddeus's room with Picard and they were talking about him, and you could see the tears behind her eyes. The one thing I thought about when I was watching the episode, specifically that point, is it reminded me of Marina Sirtis when she was talking about when she first auditioned for The Next Generation, and she was trying out for Tasha Yar, who at the time was Macha Hernandez, and Denise Crosby was going to be Troy, but that Gene Roddenberry flipped the two because Marina Sirtis had an empathy and emotional quality to her that she could bring to Troy. Which I think was obviously the right decision that he had made. But you could see it specifically in that episode, just the Troy's just got that warmth and that empathy and that, she's loving and caring and she's not afraid to show her feelings. And that's what I was glad about, is they didn't shy away. Like when Loxana's daughter Kestra died and Loxana blocked it off. Deanna did the exact opposite, and so did Riker. But you can tell the pain. Kudos to Jonathan Frakes as well. They really put that pain, you could feel it. It was real when you watched them. Let's see here. Jonathan Del Arco, I thought, did a really good job in the episode as Hugh. I mean, especially at the beginning, you could really feel the pain that he was feeling about the XBs dying. I'm sure that there was a lot of blaming of himself. She was certainly trying to place the blame on him, even though she had a choice of whether or not she could kill those XBs or not. It's just typical manipulation. You don't do what I want you to do, so now they're going to die, and it's all because of the choices you made. But I thought Jonathan Del Arco did a really nice job in that moment, relaying that grief. One thing also I was very happy about is Marissa and Eric finally, even though they were both very integral to the episode, they were apart. And I was so glad that we didn't have to see any more of that incestuous crap that we've been seeing in every episode up to this point. You know, they're finally split up. I gotta give kudos also to the actress who plays Marissa. She is just deliciously evil. There's just something, she just plays that character to perfection. Like, and you can, just in the way she acts and the way her character is, you can feel that she feels passionate about what the Zhat Vash is all about, in terms of trying to get rid of the synths. I mean, even she was saying in some of the lines that she said, she was mad at Hugh because she said that years of research and planning had been devastated because Picard and Shoji got to disappear. You know, and then, so you can feel the hatred and that anger that she has, and that the seriousness that the mission is for her at this point. Also, one other thing I did like, a lot of people didn't like this because they feel Picard's being chastised in every single episode, which to a degree he is. But in this instance, he deserved it, honestly. But Troy chastising Picard for goading Shoji. I didn't really understand why that moment was even written into the episode. She was, pouring her heart out to Troy about how she feels that she doesn't know what's real, what's fake, because everything around her has been proven to be fake. So she doesn't even know what the tomato that she was allowed to eat, talking to Troy, Picard, if they were even real. And Picard, instead of being constructive and trying to help her through that, kind of mocks her. It's kind of like, yeah, nothing's real, and you're not real, and we're not real, and what are you going to do about it? You know, it seemed out of place for Picard's character that he would do that. It was almost like the writers purposely wrote it in just so that Troy had a reason to yell at Picard. Seriously, because it played no real role in the story whatsoever. You know, but, I mean, Picard was chastised appropriately for what he had done. I hope we don't see that side of him again. I don't think we've ever seen Picard be like that before, so it was kind of weird. I just kind of felt like it was forced in, and it was just to have a reason for Troy to be upset. But other than that, I love the fact that Troy stood her ground and said, this poor girl's been traumatized, and here you are, you know, negating that fact. And I mean, the girl really has been traumatized. Think about it. If your whole world was just flipped upside down all of a sudden. I guess you could kind of compare it to kids who have been adopted, but they never knew that they were adopted. Then they find out. It's like their whole world has been turned upside down because everything that they knew, everything that they believed in, has changed in a split second. You know, and I think that the actress playing Shoji is doing a really good job relaying that in her acting. Also, one other thing I really liked about the episode, who doesn't want a slice of pizza that Riker's making? That pizza looks ridiculously good. I mean, to be made on a firewood grill like that, and you know, it even raw, it just looked delicious. And I don't even like tomatoes, and those tomatoes I wanted to take a bite out of. You know, and there's been a lot of joking online about Riker having his own little pizza business, you know, which is kind of cool that people came up with that. So those are really a lot of the, what I really liked about the episode. There were some dislikes that I had. This pissed me off. I loved seeing that Jonathan Frakes got special guest star billing. Where was Marina Sirtis special guest star billing? Why on earth did she not get any equal billing like Jonathan Frakes did? I mean, hell, Brent Spiner got special guest appearance credit in the first episode, and hell, Jerry Ryan, who's not even a Next Generation character, she's a Voyager character, got special guest star billing in her episode. So why the hell would Marina Sirtis not get that billing? I'm confused by that. I mean, is it possible that maybe she requested that? I don't know. But I felt it was disrespectful to her and to Troy to not give them the billing that they deserved. After she's played that character for over 30 years, and she just gets a regular guest starring credit at the end of the show in the end credits, it didn't fly with me. I'm sorry. I think that they should be... If CBS did that for any particular reason other than she just didn't want that extra billing, then they should be ashamed of themselves and disgusted. Because I know I was pretty ticked off, and I know a lot of fans were as well. One other thing I didn't like, Hugh's death was completely unnecessary. I mean, Hugh could have been involved somehow in the continuation of this story. However it's going to turn out with them finding the synths, if they make it to the worlds with the 2 red moons and the lightning in the sky. I mean, I'm sure there's more that he could have done. Maybe, 7 of Nine's out with the Fenris Rangers right there. Maybe he could have joined her. Maybe he and the XBs could have left, and that could have been their new purpose, is to help the Fenris Rangers in that area. I mean, I just think it was a complete waste. They killed what they've been calling a legacy character. That's just a waste of an opportunity. I mean, they showed him doing well with the XBs. He could have led them on some sort of other mission. I don't know. I hate seeing characters that have been around for 25, 30 years being killed off when there's no real reason for it to be. I mean, Jonathan Del Arco played his death scene very well. The guy who plays Elnor did a really nice job showing the emotion of losing Hugh after he's been protecting him. It's just a shame that we're not going to see Hugh anymore, because we could have seen a lot more, learned a lot more about him. At first I was going to talk a little bit more about how I'm sick and tired of Raffi walking around in her pajamas and with the pipe, but after the second viewing of the episode, I really enjoyed in the episode how much they showed Raffi's caring for Dr. Jurati. I guess in one way you could look at it and see if maybe she suspected her of something, and so she was trying to get information out of her, kind of like Eric was trying to get information out of Shoji. But really in the episode you feel like there's some genuine caring there. She wants to know what's bothering her and what's helping her and how she can help. And we even saw her, she realizes Dr. Jurati said that she's a good person, and I think that was the first time that Raffi thought of herself in any positive way, after all the years that happened, the stuff with her Tal Shiar beliefs and conspiracy theories and losing her commission and, living in depression and getting high all the time. I think for the first time her hearing that was kind of sobering for her. But she basically even just said, I'm the wreckage of a good person. But this could be the road toward that redemption, with her joining the crew and trying to help Dr. Jurati out. Let's see, did we really need to have all the vomiting? I mean, I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world, but I mean, it's extremely gross to have to watch that and to see it happen twice, and then her foaming at the mouth after she injected herself with that neurotoxin or whatever, which I'm sure it was to neutralize whatever tracker that she had put into her body. But I don't know, I just don't see a need for it. Just like the swearing, it's just there for shock value, and I don't care for shock value stuff. I mean, every now and then, unless it has something to do that's integral with the story or some sort of Trek connection or something like that. I don't know, it was just gross. I just didn't like it. Dr. Jurati's arc. I loved the character when she first came on the show. I thought it would have been interesting. She would have been the outsider of the group, and that's kind of the way that she was presented in episode 2 when she came on board the ship, and she was like, I want to see an actual bioorganic synth. This is a culmination of everything I've ever worked for, And then the writers turned her into this murderer, pathetic, sad character. I mean, I feel sympathy for what she's going through, because she wouldn't have killed Bruce unless it was for that mind meld. That mind meld clearly messed her brain up. Who knows what's in that mind meld, if it's even real or not? At this point we don't know. I don't know. I hate seeing her falling down the way she is, because I thought she was going to be like that outside character with the quirky personality and was going to be commenting on everything, and now we're seeing her as this sad, character. I hope we get to see some redemption with her, because I don't think she's a bad character, and I don't think she's a bad person, but she's been manipulated through that mind meld. Absolutely. So, some questions I have. Really, I don't have a whole lot of questions, but this really bothered me when I watched the episode. Why on earth couldn't Starfleet just give special dispensation for Thad to have some sort of positronic treatment that he needed so that way he could survive? I can't believe that, again, it's making Starfleet look bad, and that's what this show's really good at, is making Starfleet look like they're the demon seed of the galaxy. And basically, You know, if they knew that that was something that could save his life for other people like him, why wouldn't they have some sort of little bit of positronic technology on the side that could be used for medicinal purposes? I mean, it kind of compares, to me, it's kind of like comparing to today with marijuana versus medical marijuana. You know, marijuana is still illegal, but in a lot of places, a lot of people are saying, hey, marijuana's got medicinal purposes. So that's why we have these special compensations for people to get a permit or whatever so that they can use it. Okay? That's kind of what it reminded me of. And I don't know, I don't think that was, it doesn't feel like, that didn't feel like Star Trek to me. That Starfleet basically said, oh, we did the ban, so we're not going to allow you to have this treatment, even though we have, you know, history in it and research. So your son's going to die. You know, it just didn't fit what Starfleet's all about. But again, this whole show, Starfleet doesn't feel like it's supposed to. But really, that's about it. I really enjoyed the episode overall. Like I said, obviously the Next Generation connections, you can't beat that. And I hope that we see Riker, Troy, and Kestra again in the future. Absolutely. So that's basically it for my review of Nepenthe. Do you have any comments? Please, if you watched the episode, please comment below on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts. You know, you can follow the show on YouTube. Just come to YouTube and type in Pittsburgh's Trek Chat, and you'll go right. It'll take you right to my channel. You can also follow the show on Facebook, facebook.com/Pittsburgh's Trek Chat. You can also follow the show on Twitter at PGH Trek Chat. I'm looking forward to the next episode. Until then, may yins live long and prosper.